Horror Deconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the Horror Deconstruction. You can find us at horrordeconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/horrordeconstruction, as well as facebook.com/the Horror Deconstruction with your host Comp and
Luth.
Okay, and today's episode is about
X-Files. The episode is called Home, Season 4, Episode 2.
Aired originally on October 11th, 1996. And this is episode 199 of the Horror Deconstruction because I fucked up numbering our episodes. I had to do this special one, which is basically introducing Danny to the X-Files. Danny?
Yeah, I've never really seen any. I tried to watch this episode and I watched the wrong episode, so now I've seen 2 episodes of X-Files.
Oh, so you actually saw a full other episode, or you just kind of cut it off halfway and did this one?
Well, you know, I was so far into it that
you
once I realized it was the wrong episode, I was like, let me just finish it because I'm enjoying it, you know?
What did you think of X-Files? Just from the first, the 2 episodes that you saw, what do you think of X-Files in general now?
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of like a modern Twilight Zone type of idea.
Yeah, it's funny because X-Files, I forgot how many seasons it actually went on for. It's on Netflix. That's where I saw.
9 seasons.
I think it was 9 seasons. There was
and then there's a movie.
2 movies, and I think from 7 seasons in, I think it changed leads to Robert Patrick, who I think was T-1000 in the Terminator films. And
Fox left.
Yeah, he was abducted in the show. I stopped watching the show after a couple of seasons into it, because I was really into it. I would watch it, and it would spook the shit out of me.
I worked with this band that named themselves after a character from the X-Files, Dwayne Barry.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an episode I would want to watch, too, because supposedly, I mean, it must be a cool episode if a band named themselves after it.
That's true. And the X-Files, basically, if nobody knows what the show is about, it's a show that ran on Fox during the 90s, and it was about these 2 FBI investigators who were basically handed all the mysterious and supernatural type of unexplainable...
Do you think they named them Fox because it was on Fox?
You know what? I always wonder that. I think it was actually a friend of the creator of the show. His friend's name was Fox, and it just happened to be that way. It's almost like kind of thing where one of the writers of this episode of Home, he actually knew a family member called Peacock, but then they tried to say, oh, maybe it was because NBC is a Peacock like logo and stuff like that. So it's like
I thought they were just looking for a clever way to use the word cock
and peeing, yes. But this episode is anyway. Like I was talking about, the X-Files, basically these 2 FBI agents who deal with unexplainable events that they have to try to solve. And one is a very big skeptic, which is Scully. She's the redhead, and a redhead who gets hotter and hotter every season. I don't know how that's possible. It's like she gets hotter every season. The first season, she's kind of plain.
It's a supernatural mystery in itself.
It is. She was very plain Jane, and then by like the final season, she's like this hot super MILF or GILF or what? No, she's a MILF back then.
GILF?
And,
what's a GILF? That's a grandma.
Yeah, right. And did you know there's also DILFs and GILFs, like grandpa GILFs, I guess, and dads, whatever. So anyway, so she's a skeptic, and Fox Mulder is a character who's very, they kind of think he's kooky because he believes...
We need someone to represent the good GILFs, the great grandmas.
Yes, good. And then, and he's always in tune with finding supernatural things, and he believes in UFOs because as a child he believes he saw his sister be abducted out of his window, out of their home, out of like a window. He actually saw her lift up from the ground and fly out.
And they talked about that actually in both episodes I just watched.
That's true. They did mention the sister because she's basically the driving force of him throughout the show. And there was an episode that explained what happened to her, and I thought that was sort of a letdown, but that's for other people.
Was she abducted?
I don't remember. I just know that she was dead by the end of the...
well, thank God for that.
I mean, you never see her in the show ever besides like flashbacks. But I think what happened is that something traumatic happened to her so bad that that almost like these phantasms took her to another dimension, so she wouldn't have to suffer anymore. If that makes any sense.
Oh, that's cute.
It's very like calming, but it's one of the main reasons why Fox Mulder works on X-Files. He always has that iconic poster that says "I want to believe," and basically these 2 people butt heads during every episode, trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. It's pretty funny because they're obviously seeing supernatural, bizarre things, and Scully always tries to explain it off.
How could you be skeptical after seeing the things that they see?
She's obviously very skeptical, even up to certain parts. Like, she's very skeptical throughout the show, and I'd be like, why doesn't she fucking realize? Like, look at that. There's like a floating person in space.
She just loves being contrary, maybe.
And the show always split up two sections. It was always two sections. There was either the monster of the week, where they kind of dealt with one singular, kind of like you say, you just said it. What's
Twilight
that show?
Zone?
Like a Twilight Zone sort of storyline. Not that Twilight Zone only pictured one like monster a week thing, but it always like was very singular episodes where they fought a monster of a week, like they investigated something. And then there was always the mythology episodes where one storyline was threaded from all seasons, from all 9 seasons. So it was one storyline that was building up from throughout the whole entire run of the show.
What was that story?
Basically, a planned invasion of Earth.
Okay.
So, and they would always figure there's like characters like Deep Throat was this guy who would always
Deep Throat.
I know, yeah. He was I think it was Deep Throat. Maybe he was I think it was X. Excuse me.
Are you sure that wasn't Scully's like code name?
Maybe I'd watch that episode. I think it might have been Deep Throat. That might have actually been a name of an episode. There was a guy named X who would help him out, like he would teach, tell him secrets and shit like that. There was cigarette smoking man who was kind of like a main antagonist, and he smoked cigarettes. Everybody had these weird monikers.
His attack power was that he gave people secondhand smoke.
He gave them yellow fingernails, and that ruined their lives. Anyway. So this episode, Home, is a Monster of the Week episode. Basically, it's a singular episode it's like self-contained. And in IMDb, it says, Scully and Mulder investigate the death of a newborn child found in a shallow grave on the outskirts of a small town. So, basically, there are a lot of things that deal with this episode. What do you want to get into about this episode, Danny?
Well, it's very Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, I think so. I think it actually stuck with me. I remember watching it premiere on TV when I was younger, obviously I guess 1996, and I saw it on television, and it stuck with me because there was such like harsh imagery in the episode, and I actually remember it being more violent back then than it is now watching it again. And
well, at that point that was maybe violent for a mainstream TV show.
Yeah, apparently they only aired the episode once on regular TV. They never they never showed it again in what the hell is it called? Repeats?
Repeats.
And
that's the word you're looking for.
Yes, I know.
Reruns.
It blew my mind. Reruns, that too. They actually ended up showing. I'm sure they showed it again on cable some other time, but they definitely did not show it again because I remember watching it and being like, Jesus Christ, like this is horrifying. This episode because it had definitely an awesome juxtaposition sequence where these three characters called the Peacock Brothers.
Oh, the car scene.
Yeah, right. When they're bashing in the sheriff's head with the bat, and they're playing Johnny Mathis's "Wonderful, Wonderful." It's like an old
that whole
60s
scene
song.
leading up to that part and that part were awesome.
And stylistically, it's just a really good episode. It's by director Kim Manners, and it's just something that's insane.
One thing I got out of this X-Files experience is now I know what happens to Denise after he leaves, Cooper's FBI agency in Twin Peaks. He then goes on to investigate paranormal activity and change out a drag. You don't even get the reference.
So this episode is very much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where there's this kind of backwoods family that has to be dealt with. And I thought, for some reason, I kept mistaking that Luke, what's his name? Luke,
Skywalker.
No, not him. He's not him. He's By the way, did you hear what the supposed storyline of the new Star Wars movie is? Where
I've heard so many mixed things, and
that apparently
I've heard that Lucas is completely disregarding the novels, which pisses me off. But then I heard that he's making, Luke's twins characters in it. So
George
I don't know.
Lucas has nothing to do with anything of this. He has nothing to do with it.
Who doesn't?
George Lucas has nothing to do with the storyline. He has nothing to do with it.
No, but I heard that they're just disregarding the novel.
Yeah, they're making new extended.
Disregarding the novels.
They're making new extended universe books that are like automatically. I mean, actually are linked up with the new films.
Yeah,
but
I
anyway,
mean, come on. I mean, like fucking Heir to the Empire, all those Jedi Search. Those are great books. Like that's great material for a movie. I don't understand what they're thinking, but
so
whatever. We'll see.
this is the supposed storyline is that two one is an ex stormtrooper and one is I guess a young lady, and they find a robotic hand that's like in the desert somewhere.
Oh, so that's the one that got cut off of Luke or something?
I mean, it can't be a human hand because it would be 40 years after what happened. It would fucking be destroyed, wouldn't it? Wouldn't like turn into dust?
I guess so, yeah.
So I guess maybe it's a robot hand. So anyway, they find the hand and then they meet up with Han Solo and then they decide to look for the owner of the hand and the lightsaber, and they think it's.
I don't want to know. I want to just watch it and hope
a lot of
that
people are
it's
saying
not
it.
a
A lot of people
thing like the prequels.
A lot of people are saying that's a horrible idea for a storyline because I think it's like already a novel that's something else that exists somewhere else about like finding a hand and looking for the owner. Anyway, yes. So getting back to X-Files because Star Wars is so important.
It is important, and it sounds like they're doing like a Blue Velvet type of thing where they find an ear or something.
But this episode also reminded me of the Alexander Aja film, The Hills Have Eyes, the remake. Where that's the only one I can really compare it to, where it's kind of backwoods people and these two straight-laced FBI agents going to hunt them down. I mean, it's only like 45-minute episodes without the commercials and stuff like that. And basically, Scully and Mulder are called to this small town called Home by the sheriff, who's funny enough named Andy. I guess it's supposed to be the Andy Griffith Show kind of reference. He even has
they got the Barney too.
Yeah, so. What happens is at the very beginning of the episode, a woman gives birth, and it's all in silhouette. And these three guys they bury the newborn under gravel, under dirt, and one of them looks really upset. He's like crying his eyes out, and they find this body during these kids playing like a softball game, and Scully and Mulder look, they investigate but it grossed me out that they actually had the corpse of the baby inside the station fridge. Like everybody's lunch is inside.
Eat, like Chinese food out of there afterwards?
No.
My God.
Although who knows, that newborn is probably part of recipe of actual, recipe
That's true.
sometimes. So they find out that the baby has these horrible like malformities, like this, horrible shit going on with it. It's just, it looks like it would have been born dead, but since it had like dirt packed up in the nostrils, it breathed it in, so suffocated to death. So basically, their instincts.
That baby could have grown up to be the president. We don't know.
One of them already did. But the instincts for them is that it's got to be these peacock people, and it's pretty open and shut case. And from there on, it's just like it's a cycle of violence where Andy Taylor, who was the sheriff at the town, is afraid of the big world coming and encroaching on small America. And I think that's what they say is one of the aspects of this episode is that they're dealing with, globalism.
Right. I wonder, I mean, I know this, I'm going back to the Twin Peaks thing again, but I wonder if they chose, David Duchovny, that's his name, right? David Duchovny. If they chose him based on his very quick role as an FBI agent in Twin Peaks.
He was in Twin Peaks?
That's what I was saying before. He's a drag queen. Well, he's like a transvestite in Twin Peaks, yeah.
Alright, I don't know, maybe. No,
but
I think
he's an FBI agent, then you find out he's a transvestite, and it's like...
Wait, when was Twin Peaks out?
Like 91, 92 or something?
I guess it could be. I mean, it's anything.
I think it was before X-Files.
All I know is that definitely that he's most known for this role. He moved on to go for that show.
I mean, this is like definitely a main role of his, but like, as far as I know, he was on Twin Peaks as an FBI agent before he was on this. So they could have seen that, and that could have been like, oh, he's a good FBI agent.
I know that after that he's on Californication, but I don't really know anybody who watches that show. So whatever. But with this, the whole main gist is that the brothers are apparently they're inbred, and that's like one of the other aspects that really creeps me out. There's nothing that.
What kind of bread? Holly? Rye bread?
Chala? How about that? They have what happened is that their parents died in a car accident, but the boys claimed the bodies before the government. I mean, before they could release it, which I think is against the law, isn't it? To like, you can't keep dead bodies.
I think normally it is, but I guess in a town like this, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you think they would allow people to bury them in
I
their
mean,
own
they
backyards?
put dead babies in a fucking refrigerator, so
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess so.
who knows?
I don't know, but the makeup effects are this episode makes me feel dirty when I watch it. Like it literally makes me feel like you know what I mean? Like the part where one of the brothers eats a piece of bread, that just made me sick. The face of the mom.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, that really bothered me. Actually.
She looks like if you've ever seen that Alex Winter made this movie called Freaked, where he's it's like a comedy film, and it's like a freak show, and Alex Winter plays this guy who's half a face looks like a demon, and that's kind of what she looks like, but even worse. It's like she's really like grotesque looking.
I would run if I saw her.
But you'd run with a lot of people if you saw them, especially if they have dark skin. So anyway, this episode, it's very stylistically dark and grim, and it's even darker, I would say, than most of the normal episodes of the show. Like if you watching the show, what do you think about it comparatively to shows that are recently out now?
I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, I liked it. It made me kind of want to watch X-Files. And also, I watched accidentally, thinking it was this episode, a totally different episode, about a child molester that cuts hearts out of girls' fabric before killing them or something. And
was that supernatural, or?
It was kind of supernatural, because the guy somehow had a link into Mulder's dreams, and that's how Mulder, found him. I mean, whatever. It was vaguely supernatural, but it wasn't anywhere near like this episode as far as how violent it was. But it was cool. I liked it.
There's some cool episodes that are definitely out there. There's one episode that's just kind of like Scully on her own, she's the focus of the episode.
Right.
And it's like her getting laid, just whatever, just chilling out, because I guess she's kind of stressed by this X-Files shit. And there's a guy who has a tattoo on his back, and it talks to him, and it's the voice of who's the girl who played the main girl in The Silence of the Lambs, that actress.
Jodie Foster?
Yeah, it's Jodie Foster's voice, and she's telling him to kill people. It's like a fucking great episode. There's a lot of episodes.
Is it a tattoo of a dog by any chance?
No, it's a snake eating itself. Why a dog? Okay. Oh, Son of Sam.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe that was a reference or something.
No, but it's so weird to we do. We spoke even more about a Killjoy, and that movie was only an hour long, and here it was trying to struggle with what to talk about. If people who obviously want to see the X-Files, this is an episode I think you can watch and
do you have to watch in order with the X-Files, because you're saying there's a whole mythology to it?
I would think so. I mean, there's Monster of the Week episodes like this one, which you kind of got to scour through, but I think it's probably worth to watch from the beginning. But then again, I never finished the series, so I don't know. I mean, I'm aware I saw the final episode. I saw the first episode through how many seasons.
And the whole premise, originally, is that this is his new partner. Scully's his new partner.
Yeah, they kind of pushed them together to solve these mysteries and stuff like that. Okay. And I'm sure you can watch the Monster of the Week episodes and get them. And the mythology episodes, I think they always give some sort of a recap. But I myself like the Monster of the Week episodes more because they're singular, and it's almost like watching a mini movie every episode. Because this certainly felt like a short film, and
I like their characters. They're cool.
Yeah, they're cool because they both have a dry wit to them, and it's certainly funny. Like the part when he's walking around the house and he has this pained expression. And he picks up a newspaper that says Elvis died at 42, and he has this expression he can't believe it, and he's like, no shit. But they have very dry sense of humor. The show definitely has episodes where it's very straight up funny, and then sometimes it's dark. Because this X-Files, they actually had a spinoff called Millennium with the guy, I forget the guy's Frank. The character's name was Frank Black. He was played by the actor who played Bishop in Aliens.
The new X-Men movie?
No, Aliens. And Aliens, Bishop, remember the machine, the robot.
Different Bishop.
They had the kind of humor they had was really dark because they had an episode of Millennium, which is an offshoot of X-Files, where there were these 4 demons in a cafe talking about all the people they fucked over, and it was flashbacks. And one of the jokes was that a demon kidnapped a Satan worshiper and was killing him, and the Satan worshiper was like, "Help me, Satan, help me!" He just kept saying, "Help me, Satan," and killed him anyway. I thought that was like ironically funny. But the whole show has that kind of dark humor to it, but not every episode. Especially the mythology episodes are like straightforward dark films, and these Monster of the Weeks really worked out. What are the things that you thought could have worked better as a? I mean, you're watching a sight unseen, so this is like the first time you've ever seen X-Files.
Yeah,
so what?
well, I mean, I'm keeping in mind that this was made in like the 90s and shit.
Right.
So, you know, like, for that time frame, like that, you know, because I feel like TV shows nowadays are so much better. Well, although that's not necessarily true, because, like, I talk about Twin Peaks all the time, but,
right.
I mean, you know, like, the overall quality of, like, what they're allowed to show on TV and shit, I think that this show did it pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I wonder now if this show was made at this era, like, what they would have shown. I think they would have shown everything by now, because everything is so grotesquely,
I mean, the whole quality of, the, you know, even just the cameras they used would have been better.
Right.
And stuff like that. But, I mean, for what they were allowed to do on TV back then, it was pretty fucking good.
Do you think it flowed well, the episode, or? Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I didn't even pause it. I just watched the whole thing.
Yeah, there's like people getting beaten to death with bats. There's like a guy who gets decapitated by an axe that's held on a door. Like it's very weird. I wish they had, you know, it would be funny if this was actually a 2-hour film. I would watch it. But
that's Macaulay Culkin all grown up. That's his
house. He's waiting for two thieves to come in and turn all the sinks on so he can decapitate them. But other than that, I'll give this episode, because it stuck with me even since back then, and it's still held up watching it now. I'd give this episode an 8 out of 10. Johnny Mathis songs playing while two older folks get their brains brashed in.
No, I like Brashton. I'm going to give this episode, I agree, an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, I guess having sex with your deformed mother and creating monstrous deformed babies and then burying them in baseball fields.
Speaking of that, did you know that was based on a true story with Charlie Chaplin went to a home of these people in England, and they were like, I guess they were a traveling music family, and he was like, oh, let's show you something upstairs. So they go upstairs and they actually pull this quadriplegic kid from under their bed, and they started playing music, and the kid started flapping around. So, so I can imagine. I wonder if Charlie Chaplin was stunned silent. So Danny, what's the final word?
2-5.
The horror deconstruction.